Having a workflow in your music production work is detrimental for your success, and in this workflow conversation, there is a lot to be discussed, such as DAW templates, track presets, macros, scripts, and more. And in this video, I want to talk about a DAW template system, but I don't want to talk about it in the typical sense of a video speaking about, chains and routing and why am I processing things this way, or why do I have these, or why do I have that. If you want to know about that, let me know in the comments below if you want me to talk about my mixing template a little bit more. And if that's the case, I'm going to make sure to make a video on that. But with no further ado, this is the DAW template system that I use in Pro Tools, and how the system is actually helping me improve between leaving production and mixing as separate stages of the process, yet communicating to each other. So let's dive right in. Right, so here we have in front of me, I have the Pro Tools songwriting template that I generally use for the most part. As you can see, it's got a lot of tracks, right? Like we have different tracks here. On the top, I have my drum library of choice, which is Steven Slate drums, and it's I/O routing, so I can bring the stems, or rather the multi-tracks of that, in audio, so I don't have to work with MIDI in the mixing stage. Then I have the equivalent on the auxes, but I have them in audio so I can print them in real time. I have some post effects where I would lay down some swells, crashes, booms, that kind of stuff, impact sounds and whatever. Then I have some select instruments, like virtual instruments, that I can use for the production. This may differ from production to another. Maybe I'll use them all. Maybe I'm not going to use any. So, but they're there, as a starting point. And I have other things according for the guitars and bass and vocals. But that is really not important, as I said before. What truly matters the most is that both of my templates are built under one single fundamental thing, which is this routing that I'm highlighting right now, which is my groups and subgroups. So you may wonder, how is it even possible? And it's quite simple. Both my production template and my mixing template share the routing that you see here. The same routing with the same naming schemes and the same buses. So if we go into the I/O tab, we're going to see here that the ones that are colored the way that are colored are actually my buses that you will find, or that I'll find in my mixing template. And I'm going to show you my mixing template in a minute, just for you to know how that looks. So if you go here, the only difference being between my mixing template and my production template is that my production template has no effects returns whatsoever, because I'm not going to do any effects returns on my production. The only effect returns that I have are reverb and mod delay, because when you're tracking a vocalist, you may want to give them a little bit of reverb, so that's there just for that purpose. But there is nothing far beyond than that. It's just like having a console in front of yourself, and you're just tracking right through the channels, and you're good to go. So that's literally the case right there. So if you click here, this is the only things that you have. Of course, in this particular scenario, because I'm doing this video, I have some writing from my microphone, so it captures my audio from the MacBook and whatever. But the thing is, this is what I generally use for that particular purpose. Now, what my mixing template looks like. So let's go close here, and with the magic of video editing, I'm gonna be with my actual mixing template. So like this. Right, so here we are now, once again, in Pro Tools. This time, this production template is now in use, and we have my song right here. We have all the instruments. We have drums, percussions, we have bass, we have effects, we have synths, guitars, vocals, background vocals, lead guitar. We have everything, right? And everything's routed. So if you go into the mixing section, like here in the mix window, you'll be able to see that some of my faders already have a position. I have some panning going on because I've been working on my mix as I was going through the production. And this is becoming like my rough mix, right? So I have like some rough levels to it. And this is quite fun. Now, the thing is that when I was working on this particular song, or any other song before I started applying this method to my workflow, was that I was always exporting these multi-tracks just as you see them here on my edit window. I would export them, right, name them properly, and so do the things that I would do generally for safekeeping, but I would do this for mixing as well. So I would export these and bring them over to a blank new session. But that meant that I had to route the tracks to the corresponding groups, and more importantly, I would lose this particular balance that I have going on across the entire mix. And of course, that leads to a lot of time consumption. Not only that, not only routing and balancing and panning, but also the color coding. Now, how am I saving time? Quite simple. As you see, the routing is the same. We have the same colors, we have the same routing, everything is routed to where it should be routed to. And the only thing that I have to do is to bring them over with import session data. So I'm going to show it to you right now because I already have this session prepared for you, but no tracks in it, so that you can see how this works. So here we go into File, we go into Open Recent, we have the Norte Sur mixing tutorial demo. Right, and with the magic of video editing, here we are once again. This time is my mixing session. I'm going to bring the files from the production session over to this one, and you're going to see now how great this method is in terms of saving time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Shift, Option, and I so that we can import session data. I already have selected my path for where the session is located. I'm going to click on it, and we have this dialog, which is the import session data dialog. And the only thing that I got to do is that I have to select all the tracks that I want to bring into my session. Of course, the ones that are looking like this are hidden and inactive, by the way. But I want to bring the ones that are active and shown, right? Like, actually available to bring over. I could bring over the other ones, of course I could, but I'm going to bring the ones that I really need. So the only thing that I need to do is to scour through my list, find those, and bring them over to my mixing template session. So here we have, we click OK, and we have, not only we have the tracks, but we also have the markers on top. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to bring all over, all of these tracks. We're going to bring them on top because makes the most sense. I have my tracks on the left, I have my groups on the right, and then I have, on the center rather, and then my deliverables on the far right. So there's that. And we're going to come over here to the mixing window, and you'll notice that my balances have been kept, my panning has been kept, my routing has been kept, and my color coding has been kept. So that means everything is translating from production session to the mixing session, and I don't have to rebuild the mix in order to start mixing. This saves a lot, but like literally a lot of time when it comes to working on your own music. Believe me, it does. Doing it this way has saved me, I don't know how many hours, and when mixing a song for a project of mine or for a client. It's just incredibly, it's ridiculous amount of time that I've saved with this methodology. And if I hit play, you'll notice that everything is already routed, and the only thing that I gotta do is to start mixing, like literally. So let's hit play. Here we have, and of course, my template is ready for me. I already have my sends to my effect returns. The only thing that I gotta do is to enable them, bring the fader up, start processing, and be done with it. Like literally, that's the only thing that I gotta do. Right, so this methodology that I've been applying into my workflow lately, that only works for saving time, but also helps me on keeping the technicalities away. So the clear message is, once again, very clear. What I would advise anyone out there to do is to take some time to embrace the technicality, make sure to understand the technicalities of your DAW. In my case, it's Pro Tools. In your case, it could be Studio One, Logic Pro, Reaper, whatever. Understand the technicalities of your platform. Make sure that your platform gives you the features that you need in order to improve your workflow and move onwards, right? Move from that point and forward. That's the point, that's literally the point. So I'm applying this methodology now, and it's just great. I can save time, like a lot of time when I'm producing something for someone, or maybe I'm producing it for myself or my own projects or whatever, and I can always save a lot of time. Now, This only applies in the cases of where I'm producing the track. If I'm not producing the track and I'm just being called to mix a session, I still have to deal with the fact of, importing the tracks in blank and doing all of that and whatever, and preparing the session from scratch, which would mean to bring the files, color code them, routing them to the corresponding groups, creating the group, like the edit groups in Pro Tools, etc., balancing, panning, the typical things that you do when you're preparing a song for mixing. Those things I have to do them anyway if I'm working on a song that I have not produced. But if I'm producing the song, I already know that I can save some time in the long run, like in the process, right? Long term is always great. So if you want to save some time, make sure that you're applying similar methodologies to this one, because that's going to help you a lot. Now, I wanted to finish up this video with something that, I wanted to do for a little while, and it is that I want you to have access to these templates. So I have decided to upload them. I'm going to leave a link down below where you can download these templates right now, and you can have two layouts. You will have the access to a classic layout that has no folders whatsoever, and the one that has folder tracks. If you want to use one or the other, that's up to you. Good thing is that you can use these folders, you can use these tracks, you can use these templates in whatever way you see fit. Modify the chains. It's going to come with nothing in them, like no plugins whatsoever, specifically for you, so that you can use them to build your system if you want, or at least to get inspired by it. And this has been helpful. Hit the like button, hit the red button that says subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.